individual's point of view. You are in control of your own reality. We've heard that before, but we've never experienced it because we didn't have high enough sustained energy to begin to understand that positive feedback mechanism. So we were caught in loops of consciousness that we'd hit the glass ceiling, as Hillary Clinton would talk about, and then we'd fall back down again. We'd hit it, we wouldn't break through, or maybe we would peek our head out for a moment in time, and then we would fall down again. And so it was, it was just this perpetual loop. And then you get to a point like you get old and you get tired and you give up. And that's been the problem with the human condition, of making a little bit of progress, but never really coming through and fulfilling beyond your wildest dreams kind of stuff that everyone has as a kid. Now, there are very few people that actually experience even a small, minute portion of what the potential of humankind is ultimately. And so once we get past these zones of restriction, this 4D consciousness, this duality thing, I think we're going to begin to see states of consciousness that man has never experienced before. And that will be the whole of man, not just the people on the machines. The people on the machines will be the first ones to get there, perhaps. They will certainly be living in worlds that other people will not be. But eventually, over time, once you get to a certain point, the whole reality is going to shift eventually. So the question is, do you want to be the first ones in the door or the last ones? It's up to you what you want to do with this stuff. But, from my own experience dealing with several different religious systems and really committing to them, but also seeing the limitations in traditional systems within the modern culture because of all the problems energetically that we live in modern society that keep us down. And I don't really want to get into describing that world, but I'm just saying that the technologies of the bioresonance technologies are the first thing that I've found that really does accelerate human evolution and consciousness, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. You can't separate those four elements. In the old thinking used to be that the physical body was separate in consciousness from the spiritual and emotional realms, and the reality is it's not. It's a part and parcel with everything, and the physical body is changing as well in conjunction with the mental, emotional, and spiritual. This whole thing is now coming together. As above, so below. Heaven and earth are unifying, and they're unifying within the physical body in a grounded state, not in an airy-fairy, out there state, literally becoming more grounded and more centered and more balanced and more rational. That's the ascension process. It's not the other process. It's really becoming more of who you already are. Be all you can be, as they say in the Army, right? So I think that's all I have to add, and I don't know if Bill has anything to add.
I might add just a little bit, Kevin, and then we'll leave it open for questions. Hopefully we haven't taken this thing too far afield. I hope not. I want all of you to understand, and I'm sure those of you that have talked to me a little bit know, that I'm really not a airy-fairy kind of guy, okay? I'm pretty much by the numbers. I'm trained in the physical sciences, and that's pretty much the way I think. Each one of these things that we've come up has been a step-by-step scientific discovery and investigation, and then intuitive leap involved, which all science really is. It's an intuitive leap for the most part, and then you try to figure out what happened later. But the great discoveries are always intuitive leaps, and then you fill in the blanks and come up with a theory later which may or may not be true. So the bottom line is for all you guys, this is for real, as you probably suspect, and I feel fairly comfortable that I know it really is for real. I've been on this thing. The only person that's been on the machines as close to as long as I have is my son. He's 20. He's going to be 26 pretty quick. And what we've observed over the 2 3/4, November will be 3 years, that this thing has been in existence from very, very low-powered machines with not a lot of efficacy to these monstrosities I have now, is the same thing. It's been an ongoing evolutionary process. As each thing was added to each thing, as it continued to evolve up and up and up, there's no reason to think that this is going to not continue to evolve exponentially. That's one thing nice about this program. It's not static. You're not buying a Zilchmobile or something, or a Zilch apparatus and sit there and turning it on, and then it goes to a certain point and it just stays there. There is no homeostasis in this program. no homeostasis whatsoever. This thing moves on, and it continues to accelerate over and over and over again. The machines are programmed to have huge upside potential as far as what can be added into the power of the energy, both on the water basis and on the etheric basis, which means essentially what you've got is you're jumping on a train that's not only going down the track at 500 miles an hour, it's operating with the potential of going to 1,000 or 1,500 or whatever comfortably and safely. So I make sure that I keep everything at a really cool level all the time to make sure that everybody's comfortable. And we always tell people, if you're uncomfortable at all, we can make an adjustment, because this is an acceleration process. What people are doing when they go to machine 3, from machine 3 to machine 5, is amping up the power of their energy coming into them 200 times. That is not a small thing. It's a very powerful thing. It produces incredibly different insights, a significantly different energy internally. The water is connected up with these very powerful machines as well, so it's getting a sideways ancillary benefit from the from the increase of the other machines as well. So I just want you guys to understand that you're really in a lifestyle. I'm sure many of you know it already, but as time goes along, if you're not sure, you will be. This is a lifestyle. It's a way of operating that is going to be so radically different than anything out there coming up that will be truly unbelievable. Now, what I'd like to do at this point is open it up for questions. I think Kevin wants to do that as well. Are there any questions that Kevin or I, can possibly answer that will be helpful to you all?
Bill, have you set your water out in the sun yet?
No. Have you?
I find it really. Yes, I do mine every day the sun shines.
And do you like it?
I love it.
Oh, that's something I'll definitely try. It makes total sense to me. Thank you very much for that, Roy.
You only have to sit out there for an hour.
All right. I can do that.
I have a question.
Who is this, please?
This is Lee. I'm sorry.
Yes, Lee.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Who are you talking? Who are you asking the question of, Lee?
To you, Bill. You mentioned it, and also to Kevin. He touched on it. But
we'll both answer that in our own ways.
All right. You mentioned the different levels of machines. How does one know which one they're on? Like where I came.
All you have to do is ask Kevin or I which one you're on.
Okay.
You're on 3. 3? Yes.
All right. And now, does that affect the water when you're on both of them? And I take it that the 3 machines
no connection
pertaining
between the distance energy machine and the water machine. None at all.
The distance energy machine is the number 3 I'm on, right?
It's number 3, the etheric side, the spiritual side is entirely different in most ways than the water side. There is some bleed off on the water side with some of the more powerful machines, but not enough to where I would consider it to be anything but separate.
Okay.
So
I just wasn't clear on that.
In a sense, the reason the water has so much efficacy is because it is, in fact, water. Okay? Water has a very, very high level of penetrative ability as far as its homeopathic absorptive capacity, as far as absorbing energy. It is of the highest. The homeopathic drug, or whatever you want to call it, energetic matrix, is one of the most effective ways of delivering drugs there is. It's far, in many ways, it's far more effective than the standard injection paradigm in biochemistry and many other things. Not in every case, but this is the reason that homeopaths use these homeopathic remedies, is because they're so unbelievably powerful. They're powerful enough that they make them in small doses, and what Kevin and I found was that for water, it's better to have a large dose. And so we just kept running the dose up until we got what we thought was an effective dose, which is, if you're not saturated through muscle testing or whatever, you're not taking enough water. It's as simple as that. Believe me, I'm just going to give you an example. This water like this could be sold for probably $50 an ounce. Okay?